Okay, so let's go with this. So let's talk about, like, for example, the Wynn case, the Nguyen versus Bonta case, which is the challenge to California's 1 in 30. Now there is no more 1 in 30. So what to give us an update on that? Is that ever going to come back, or what's the update on the 1 in 30?
Yeah, so this is what happened. So we won at the district court. The court ruled that it was unconstitutional. You can't limit one firearm per every 30 days, because that's what it was up until that point. If you wanted to buy 2 guns, you quite literally had to wait 2 months in order to, actually obtain both of those guns. That was appealed by the state. Then they had oral arguments, I want to say back in July, and a day after oral arguments concluded, the Court of Appeals issued an order lifting the stay. Now, when the district court ruled in our favor saying, hey, this is unconstitutional, it put a stay or an injunction on the enforcement of this 1 in 30 firearms rule. So then, would allow people to buy as many guns as they want at one point. The state, when they appealed, they asked for a stay on that order pending appeal, saying, hey, put a pause, don't let anyone buy anything yet until we've litigated this at appeal. So a day after oral argument, the court on its own just issued an order saying, no, we're lifting this stay. It's, you can go and buy your guns, and there's no 1 in 30 firearm. Yeah. And in fact, I think the next day I had transferred 5. So it was a good day.
Okay. So the 1 in 30, there's no more 1 in 30 law right now. You can buy as many guns as you like in a 30-day period. It doesn't matter.
Yes. And although we don't have the final decision yet from the Court of Appeals, but the fact that they lifted the stay pending appeal is a huge indicator, because they did that on their own. No one even requested it. So oral arguments went so bad for the state that the court itself was like, no, we got to go ahead and allow people to exercise their constitutional rights.
All right, let's do kind of a lightning round here. So Jones versus Bonta. It used to be Jones versus Bonta. That's the
now it's Chavez v. Bonta.
Chavez v. Bonta, which challenges the ban of adults who are 18, 19, and 20 to purchase firearms. What's going on with that one?
Yeah, so we submitted cross motions for summary judgment. State submitted theirs. We submitted ours at the same time. All the briefing was done on that, and we're quite literally just waiting for the district court's decision on those motions for summary judgment.
Okay, good. Miller versus Bonta. That's the challenge to California's assault weapons ban. I kind of touched on it, but can you confirm and talk about exactly what's going on?
We won at the district court. So district court ruled in our favor, ruled that the assault weapon ban and all the regulations with it were unconstitutional. The state appealed, of course, and we actually went and had oral arguments. I think it was last January. But then right after oral arguments, the Court of Appeals actually stayed the case pending the Duncan decision. And the Duncan case is Duncan v. Bonta. That's the high-capacity magazine, so they call it challenge. So the challenge to the state's ban on any magazines that can hold over 10 rounds. So right now Miller's been paused, and they're waiting for the court to issue a decision in the Duncan case, and then they'll apply that same standard, so to speak, to the Miller case.
And what's going on with the Duncan case?
The Duncan case, we're waiting on a decision with the En banc Court of Appeals.
And there's no way to compel them to hurry up. We just got to sit and wait.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to federal appellate courts, there's no time limit. They don't have to issue any kind of decision in 30, 60, 90, 180 days. They issue the decision when it's ready to go.
Okay. The Rena v. Bonta case is the challenge. We just talked a little bit about it. It's the challenge to California's handgun roster. What's going on with the Rena case?
Yeah, so again, I kind of caught a little tail end of it. You were talking about the micro stamping requirement. That's no longer a requirement. That's why you're seeing these new guns being added. There's still some other aspects of the regulations with the handgun roster that are being challenged in that case. But it went to an appeal, but based off of an appeal on a preliminary injunction. But then they vacated that pending the Duncan decision as well. So this is another case that's kind of been paused, waiting for the Duncan decision to come out.
Gotcha. Now, the Farr v. San Diego case, that's the challenge to the city of San Diego's ban on 80% kits. What's going on with that case?
Yes. So that one also has been stayed, but this is not pending Duncan. It's actually stayed pending a decision on Nevada called Palmer. And basically that case is dealing with another 80% lowers, 80% kit ban, and because that's in the Ninth Circuit, the courts decided that, hey, let's let the Ninth Circuit decide that case because that will be a controlling case, and then we'll issue, we'll go forward on the challenge to the city's ban.
Gotcha. And it used to be Brandeis v. Bonta, but it is now Barba v. Bonta, which is that's FPC. It's the Second Amendment lawsuit to protect gun owners' privacy. What's going on with that one?
Yeah, so we got a preliminary injunction on that, but then that went to the Court of Appeals, and the preliminary injunction was reversed. And so the case was actually remanded back down to the district court. So when the Court of Appeals remands a case, that means they're pushing it back down to the district court, and it's essentially going to be reheard at the district court level.
Why would they do that? Why do they rehear it? In light of new information, or why do they do that?
Well, in this one, it's interesting because the state was appealing a preliminary injunction. And what a preliminary injunction is it's quite literally a preliminary decision. It's not a decision on the entire merits of the case. So it's something that's done early on in litigation. And the state appealed that decision, and it went to the Court of Appeals. And so the Court of Appeals pushed it back down kind of with instructions saying, hey, this preliminary injunction, we disagree, it shouldn't have been granted. So now the case gets pushed back down to district court to go forward fully on the merits, just not, with that preliminary injunction issue kind of rejected by the Court of Appeals.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Richards v. Bonta, which is the
10-day waiting period.
10-day wait period, specifically for people who already own a gun, but it seems to be they seem to be discussing
CCW and COE.
Yeah, if you own a gun or have a CCW, COE, but they seem to be talking about 10-day wait periods in general. So what's going on with that case?
Yeah, so cross motions for summary judgment were just actually recently filed. The briefing on all those was finished up this last October. So we're waiting on the decision from the district court on that. And
so any day now, they might come out with some kind of decision about the 10-day wait period.
Yeah, it could be tomorrow. It could be 2 months from now. It's hard to tell. Again, it's the federal court system, so there's no real time period that they have to issue it. But, I would say that one looks really good. If you're considering the historical justifications for any type of gun regulation under the Bruen standard, there's nothing that could possibly support this 10-day waiting period.
Gotcha. All right, and Carolero v. Bonta, which is the SB2.
The
really
public carry bans.
Yeah, there you go. What's going on with the public carry bans?
So we won some areas when it came to stopping bans on public carry. Lost some other areas that were deemed sensitive places. Amusement parks, stadiums, parks, libraries, hospitals. Those are all okay. But you still have casinos, bars, that kind of stuff. Schools obviously wasn't specifically addressed in that case, but it is a part of the general carry restrictions. So we're going right now. It's en banc rehearing petitions have been filed, I think, on both sides, so both parties, because the state's not happy that there were some areas that the court said, no, that's not a sensitive place, you can carry. And the plaintiffs are justifiably, challenging the areas that the district court said, hey, these are sensitive places when, in fact, they're really not. So both parties are petitioning for en banc rehearing, and, we'll see if the court grants that.
Gotcha.
Just by way of clarification, Don, I have a question about that. Now, these sensitive spaces referenced there, that specifically carry. Is there anything mentioned or any reason why any of these locations would prevent a CCW holder from legally storing their firearm in their vehicle? Or is it straight up?
I would not. So, if you, let's say you're driving and you put it in a safe in your car.
Correct.
I would just avoid those areas, at least for now, while carrying.
because I was reading it and it didn't state, but I was just curious for your
So
yeah, I you know, the lawyer in me's got to tell everyone to be more than
Right.
anything.
right.
Yeah.
all right, and then last is the 11% tax. That's NRA, SAF, and then FPC. Everyone's getting together to sue the 11%. We're right at the beginning of that, or is anything to report?
Yeah, I don't think anything has been any substantive stuff has been filed yet, but that's a fairly new one.
Okay. All right. Well, cool, John. Well, that's it. I think that gives everybody an update. We get questions all the time. I swear we could update everybody on a dozen lawsuits, and then they'll say, hey, what about this 13th one? Everybody wants to know what's going on with the lawsuits. The reality is lawsuits are extremely important. But it's kind of the final thing, right? I mean, if you can't get the right people elected, and then you can't stop the wrong people from passing bad laws, then the very last line of defense is a lawsuit, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, but they're crucial to our success. And I know a lot of really smart people are working very, very hard on it. And you're one of those guys, John. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.